Wow, one of the most innovative cruise companies is banning some new technology. We also have Norwegian Cruise Line shaking it up a little bit, and the numbers are in. The numbers, and it may shock you, how many people are actually removing their cruise gratuities? It's higher than I thought it would be. Yeah, all that and more on today's episode of The Cruise Show.
All aboard! Your ship is leaving. Talking about everything going on in cruising. It's the Lido Loca time. It's the cruise show. It's the cruise show.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to La Lido Loca. Welcome to The Cruise Show. I am your host, Tony, here to talk you through everything going on in cruising. It's everything going on in cruising. It's for your face. For your face on a Sunday the 15th of February, 2026. Kind of forgot what day it was. I hope everybody had a great Valentine's Day yesterday. Got a pile of cruise headlines for you, and buckle in and be a part of the Loca fam. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. Let's go. Story number one, Royal Caribbean has announced that you will not be able to wear your spy glasses in certain areas on the cruise ship. If you've been tracking along with wearable technology trends, we're starting to see more and more iterations of wearable technology in the form of glasses that have some sort of camera in it so that you can discreetly record things while you're wearing glasses on your face. Now, most every product that I've seen, they do have a tail light where a light will come on so it is obvious that they are recording. But most of the time, you're not looking at somebody's glasses as a video camera. If I'm holding a video camera, you're pretty certain that you could be getting recorded. But if I'm just looking at you with these glasses that look like this, you may not understand that you're being recorded. So we've seen some cruise lines respond in kind to this new technology. MSC Cruise Line, they've banned them on their ships in all spaces. You can't bring on the wearable technology with cameras in the glasses on MSC. However, Royal Caribbean did not go that far. In a recent update to their website, they say that these smart glasses that are out there, like the Meta glasses, they cannot be worn in public restrooms. They cannot be worn in the medical facility. They cannot be worn in the kids facility. And they also can't be worn in the casino. I do find it to be an interesting play. It does suggest there's going to have to be a level of policing if you only ban it in certain areas. So your crew members are going to have to be on the lookout, trying to understand if people wearing glasses are recording, not recording. Are they technology glasses or not? I think the ban for the whole ship is easier, certainly easier to administer and to, police. Royal Caribbean is still trying to give freedom to people that want to use this technology. They're just locking down where this technology could be used. They're also being preemptive in some of the language, knowing that some people will say, well, hey, those are my prescription glasses. I got the prescription Ray-Bans, and this is what I wear. They're telling their guests that if you do use these kind of glasses, that there's going to be certain areas that you can't use them on the cruise ship, and you should bring a backup pair of glasses. What do you think about this glass camera ban? You think it's a good thing? You think it's a bad thing? Leave a comment below. I think I'm not good with habits sometimes because things are too complicated. In the great book, Atomic Habits, the author James Clear says, if you really want to establish a habit, you need to make it as frictionless as possible. Essentially, make it as simple as possible. I've been trying to get on a supplement regimen. Take a probiotic, I take a multivitamin, I take other supplements that are supposed to help me health-wise, and it is a hassle. There's friction there. Well, that's why I'm thankful for the sponsor of today's episode, AG1, because AG1 essentially lets me do my supplements in just one daily health drink. It's really wild to think how much you get in just this one daily health drink. 75 plus ingredients, 5 probiotic strands, and AG1 Next Gen has been clinically shown to support gut health and helps fill in common nutrient gaps. It really is a simple addition to my morning routine. Every morning I get out the cold water, I get out the AG1 canister, I get out my bottle, I use one big scoop, fill it up with 8 ounces of cold water, shake vigorously and drink it down. A nice taste of vanilla and pineapple in the original flavor. It also comes with other flavors, and it has some travel sizes for when you're on the road. Immune support, energy, rigorously tested, NSF certified for sport, and it's very flexible. You can try it risk-free. You can cancel, update your subscription at any time. If you want to try AG1 for yourself, go to drinkag1.com/La Lido Loca or scan the QR code and get 3 free AG1 travel packs and 3 free AGZ travel packs plus free vitamin D plus K2 and an AG1 welcome kit with your first AG1 subscription order. A big thanks to AG1 for sponsoring today's episode. I didn't mention it in the intro, but I do have an interesting story about the perfect day in Mexico, which is happening in the Costa Maya area there in Mexico. I'm going there in just a few days, so I should be able to get a peek at maybe what's going on. There's been some interesting stories out there. I'll share that with you, but first let's dig into some Norwegian Cruise Line happenings. A couple things that have happened kind of caught me by surprise. The first one was the leadership change. I've been working a little bit with Norwegian Cruise Line over the last few years, and honestly, I've seen a lot of different leaders. Now, the most recent leader over there at the highest level has been Harry Summer. He's been the CEO over there. Well, just last week, he stepped down. He full on quit. He resigned from his position as CEO, and he also resigned from the board of directors, from sitting on the board at Norwegian Cruise Line. Everything looks like it's amicable. He didn't get fired apparently, but he did walk away. Summer has been replaced by another board member, John Chidesy, who has spent some time running the Burger King, the corporation, Burger King, and also Subway. So it's going to be interesting to see this kind of food-focused leader come in. I think one of the first things they're going to implement is a supersize program in the main dining room. So, now when you order your meal, they're going to say, do you want that in a medium or a large? I'm just kidding, but that would be wild. So Norwegian Cruise Line definitely churning through some leadership to try to get to the place where they want to be. And it's wild because they're using some marketing that was some old marketing. It's different out here. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I'm excited because in a couple months I'll get to go and see their brand new cruise ship, the NCL Luna. I've always been a bit of a fan of Norwegian Cruise Line. I like the freestyle that they have over there, but even the freestyle is changing. When I first started cruising, there was this huge conversation about cruise lines being strict about the dress code. And I always heard, that Norwegian's one of those places where you could come as you are, where the dress code isn't so strict. Well, that's the second story that's happening. Not only have they had this big leadership change, but they're changing their approach to the dress code, particularly in specialty dining and in the main dining room. Now, fortunately, even with these changes, you don't have to pack a tuxedo or a prom dress or a ball gown or whatever the ladies wear for fancy stuff. But you will have to pack long pants if you are a dude and you plan on eating in any of the specialty dining. They have come out now and said, look, in the past, it's been a little loosey-goosey on the specialty dining, but going forward, no flip-flops in the specialty dining and no short pants. This applies to Cagney's, La Bistro, Onda, Palomar, and the Haven restaurant. And honestly, this change isn't a surprise for me for the fancy restaurants. If you're going to pay, a decent amount of money to go to these fancy restaurants, certainly you want some sort of atmosphere that's, aligned with the fact that you paid to be in a fancy restaurant. The Haven's the one that kind of gets me because you've already paid top dollar to have a ship within a ship experience. You're already separated from everybody else. And so, you could see that Haven restaurant being a little more loosey-goosey as people are enjoying that resort style, being on a cruise ship. Well, now they're saying even if you want to go and eat in that Haven restaurant, I wonder if that applies even to lunch and breakfast. Sounds like you're going to have long pants. It is funny. The only time I ever had a dress code issue was on a Norwegian Cruise Line ship on embarkation day. I'll tell you about that, but let's talk about the main dining room, the changes there. They've come out very clearly. They said no tank tops just for men. So I guess tank tops are okay for the ladies. No tank tops just for men. No hoodies, no baseball caps, no bathrobes, and no torn or excessively revealing jeans. I had a baseball hat issue on Norwegian Cruise Line. I think we were on the Joy, and I went on embarkation day, and I think I was just wearing a hat. I don't know why I was wearing a hat the whole day. I think maybe we hadn't gone to the cabin yet. This could have been a lunch scenario. But either way, when I approached the counter to get a table in the main dining room, they're like, we'll give you a table, but you got to lose the hat. This is an interesting debate in cruising. Some people will say, who cares what people wear when they eat? But there's other people that it does mean a lot. They paid their money, they paid their high-end dollar, and they want the experience, including what other people look like, to match the experience they feel like they paid for. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. I wonder if people will not book on Cruise Line because of these dress codes, or will people book because of these dress codes? Stuff going on at Norwegian. What do you think? Have you started to formulate in your mind what percentage of cruisers are removing their tips? Again, the number wasn't what I thought it would be. But let's talk perfect day Mexico. If you've been tracking along with this, or if you've cruised for a while, you know that sometimes when you go on Western Caribbean cruises, you go to a place called Costa Maya. And Costa Maya was a place that was developed by a businessman in Mexico that was essentially built for cruise ships to stop at. It was a self-contained shopping, swimming pool, dolphin encounter. There used to be lucha libre wrestling there. And this was open to all the cruise lines. Well, recently that property and property around it was purchased by Royal Caribbean to be developed into another one of their private destinations, Perfect Day Mexico. And recently I've been seeing a slew of stories out there saying that construction has been halted at Perfect Day Mexico, that there's been an injunction by a federal judge stopping the construction there. I've kind of watched it for a little bit, and I see Royal Caribbean come out and say, well, that's not exactly the story. Construction hasn't been halted because construction hasn't begun. So I'm trying to get to the heart of what the matter is. So apparently there's two projects going on. There's an old dilapidated water park that is in that area that needs to be deconstructed, that needs to be demolished. And that demolition process is going on. And apparently where they're taking the demolished parts of that water park, there are some people that are saying that they're taking it to mangroves that are environmentally protected. And so Royal Caribbean's going through a process of showing that the place that they're taking this stuff isn't environmentally protected, that it's an okay place to take this stuff. And that at the same time, there is a full environmental study going on for the future construction project of Perfect Day Mexico, and that has not yet been approved by a federal commission that's looking at that. And so official construction on Perfect Day Mexico has not begun, but there is a hubbub about this demolition process. And it's in those two stories where people are saying the construction's been halted at Perfect Day Mexico. I don't know what the full story is there. That's my gleaning from looking at a bunch of different sources. But I guess because of all of that, I'm going to say that may not be going as smoothly as Royal Caribbean would want it to be. I don't think they're officially saying that, so it's probably not right for me to put words in their mouth. Could be just that's the way things go and that it's just bumpy like that. But certainly, we're used to seeing, hey, here's the plan, here's the progress, and now the thing is open. And we've certainly heard for Perfect Day Mexico, here's the plan, here's a little bit of the progress, and it doesn't seem as clean, I guess is what we're saying. Again, Royal Caribbean leads the way when it comes to these private destinations, and I'm assuming that whatever they do get going on Perfect Day Mexico will be fantastic. As of right now, it's a slow churn, it seems like. A slow churn. All right, now let's look at the poll results of the question that I posed on the La Lita Loca post section. The question that I asked, if you remove the assigned gratuities on your cruise, do you usually tip more or less than what you would have been charged? This is the way it breaks down. So we had 81% of the people say, look, I do not remove my assigned gratuities, which means that close to 20% of the people are removing the assigned gratuities that the cruise line charges you on your shipboard account. And then of those people, 14% are saying, hey, I tip more. So if the daily assigned gratuity is $22, then they're tipping more than $22. 5% of the people that remove their gratuities, they tip less. And looking at these numbers, I'm going to continue to hold to my idea that I think the cruise line should just include the tip. You got 81% of the people that I think would be perfectly fine with that. Even 14% of the people who wouldn't be fine with it, it would actually save them money because now, they don't have to tip at all. And they wouldn't be tipping more. The only people that may be upset would be the 5% that remove their gratuities and tip less. Still blows my mind that this is a topic of conversation. Like, what other thing that I do vacation-wise where I'm like embroiled in the pay of the workers? I don't know. Make it easier, cruise lines. Make it easier. Look, that's everything that's going on in cruising. Thanks again to AG1 for sponsoring today's episode. This is Tony for La Lita Loca. Till the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.